Yo guys, what is going on? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to 15 genius German words that are missing in English. So hit the like button, hit subscribe, and let's get right into it.
Words that describe a thing just so perfectly or with a touch of humor that I just really wish that they existed in English as well. Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Felicia. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio on and off since 2016. And throughout my time living in the US, I've been in a lot of situations like these. Hold on, I need to untangle my cable salad real quick. Your cable salad? Yeah, it's a German word. I know it's not a thing in English, but it's just too fitting. Oh, I got it. Oh, you look so happy. You're smiling like a, well, in German I would say Honigkuchenpferd. Too bad that's not a word in English. A what? It'd be a honey cake horse in English, I guess. You're smiling like a honey cake horse? Well, anyway, you look really happy. Now, of course, I can get by without using these German words, but life would just be a lot more fun and sometimes easier if these words existed in English as well, and that's why today I'm introducing 15, in my opinion, genius German words that I think are missing in English. Hoping that they'll catch on and actually become a thing in English so that I can start using them in my daily life, so please help me out, guys. Before I jump into my list though, I'd like to introduce today's sponsor to you guys, which is the language app italki, because, I mean, let's start with one of my personal favorites, Purzelbaum. Purzelbaum means somersault or forward roll, so you know, it's something that you start doing as a little kid, and that's why I like the German word for it a lot better because it sounds really cute. Purzeln means to tumble or to fall, and Baum is the German word for tree, so the word sounds like tumble tree to us. Ich mache einen Purzelbaum, I'm making a tumble tree. Well, somersault. In reality though, Baum in this case doesn't refer to a tree, but it actually comes from the verb aufbäumen, which means to rear up, kind of like a horse, so it would be something like rear up tumble, I guess? Either way, it sounds extremely cute and like a lot more fun than a simple forward roll or somersault. The next one is what I just mentioned in the intro, Kabelsalat, or in English, cable salad. I actually use this one all the time in English, even if I know that the people around me will be confused, because I just love this word way too much and I think it's pretty on point. A cable salad, Kabelsalat, describes a mess of cords and cables, like when your headphone cord is all tangled up in your pocket or when your chargers are knotted. I think we've all been there.
We recently reacted to a video about like these German compound words, and I'm sure some of these are also compound words, but it's really interesting how the German language has these words and vocabulary in place. Like there's so many, I think there are people in the comments, I don't know the exact number, but there's a lot of words in the German language, and that allows for you to be really descriptive with things. And that's sometimes I think is a drawback of the English language is you use a lot of the same words to describe different things, so.
The next one is just a very pleasant description of being off work, Feierabend, which literally translates to celebration evening or party evening. As I said, this is a term that we use to describe the time after we're off work, which is in the evening for most people, but if you work a job where you get off at noon or you work a night shift and get off in the morning, we'd still call it Feierabend, party evening. It's also kind of funny how we use the word in a sentence because we'll say things like, Ich mache 6 Feierabend. I'm making party evening at 6, which means that you'll be off work at 6. Or we'll say things like, Ich habe Feierabend. I have party evening, which means that you're already off work. Originally, the word goes back to the Abend, evening before a Feiertag, a holiday, but it did get a different meaning over time. We also sometimes use this word to just say, that's enough, stop it, as in, jetzt ist aber Feierabend. You'll sometimes hear parents say that to their kids, for example. My next favorite one is Ohrwurm, which translates to earworm. For the non-Germans among you, I'm gonna give you a second to think about what the hell an earworm could be. Hint, it's not an animal in this case. You got a guess? Okay, so the solution is an earworm is what we call a song that's stuck in your head. As in, ich habe schon den ganzen Tag einen Ohrwurm von Barbie Girl. I've had an earworm of Barbie Girl all day. Meaning the song has been stuck in your head the whole day. We also often just use this word to describe that a song is very catchy, even if it's not currently stuck in our head. So you could say that a song is a total earworm or it has earworm potential. Now, apparently, the word earworm has already been adopted into the English language. At least that's what the interweb says, but I don't actually think that I've ever heard anyone use it in the US. But maybe that's just me? Do you guys use this word in English? Let me know in the comments below. If not, you should definitely use it from now on because, I mean, it's pretty genius and also kind of funny. Now, a couple friends and I actually just recently talked about this word, Weichei, which translates to soft egg. Weichei means something like weenie, wuss, or sissy, as in du bist so ein Weichei. You're such a soft egg. You're such a weenie. Now, my friends and I talked about whether the origin for this is actually a soft egg, or probably a soft-boiled egg, or if this relates to testicles, because in German we also call those Eier, eggs. Balls in English, eggs in German. So I don't know, maybe that's the origin of it. If you know, let me know in the comments below. Another funny word with the same meaning would be Warmduscher, a warm showerer, so a person who takes warm showers. And the word shower
So, a normal person.
is extremely hard to say for me. Now, when a word doesn't exist in a language, it often means that the whole concept doesn't even exist in that language, and I think that that's the case with this one. Innerer Schweinehund. Literally, this translates to internal pig dog, which doesn't really seem to make any sense, right? But your innerer Schweinehund is what we call that part of yourself that you have to fight against sometimes. Like you have to fight it to start working out, or you have to fight it when you want to study instead of watching another episode on Netflix. So a big innerer Schweinehund equals low willpower to do something that is objectively good for you. So we might say things like, ich habe endlich meinen inneren Schweinehund überwunden und bin joggen gegangen. I finally overcame my internal pig dog and went running. Or something like, nein, ich habe die Saftkur noch nicht angefangen. Mein innerer Schweinehund ist einfach zu groß. I haven't started the juice cleanse yet. My internal pig dog is just too big. Now, the word itself apparently goes back to hunting dogs that were used for wild hog hunting back in the day, which wild hogs are called Wildschweine in German, wild pigs, and because those dogs were so aggressive, the nickname for them, pig dogs, became an insult. Then, over the course of the First and Second World War, the internal Schweinehund was used in the context of National Socialism and in the military, and it was used to talk about the base motives of humans and a lack of discipline. The next one is one of the words that I usually mention when people ask me about the best or funniest German curse words, Arschgeige. This literally translates to ass violin, and it can actually be a pretty strong curse word, but depending on how it's used, it can also sound kind of funny, I think. You're such an ass violin. This one I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Honig.
Maybe that's a future video idea. A video with exclusively German curse words, or the most popular ones at least.
Honigkuchenpferd translates to honey cake horse, and we say this when someone has a really big smile on their face. We'll say something like, du strahlst ja wie ein Honigkuchenpferd, which would be something like, you're smiling like a honey cake horse, even though the word strahlen in German in this context is actually more like gleaming, but it means someone is smiling really big. And apparently the word actually does go back to a pastry which had the shape of a horse and was made of honey cake, whatever that is. I've talked about this word on my Instagram before, and this is just so on point. The word is verschlimmbessern, which would translate to something like improve worsening, and it describes a situation where you want to improve something, but while trying to do that, you actually make it worse instead. I'm sure we've all been there before. This is just one example. Okay, it's almost perfect, but this one's a little thicker than this one, so let me just adjust that. Wait, now this one's thicker than this one, so... Okay, just one more correction and I'll be good to go.
I hate stuff like this.
And one more little correction.
Honestly, this is like, there's a million things that are like this, but shaving, I mean, all types of things, and then you end up going too far on one side, you're like, well, I mean, you can't really correct that. This you can wipe off, but gotta be really careful. Let's see, Verschlimmbessern. That's not how you say that, but that's a long word.
I think I'm just gonna start over again. I should have left it as it was in the beginning. Some other examples might be like when you're drawing something, which I don't actually draw in my free time, but back in school this would happen to me all the time, that I was almost happy with my painting, but just wanted to make a tiny improvement, and then I ended up making it much worse. Or this happens while cooking sometimes too, like you're just trying to add a tiny bit of salt, and then you add too much, and then you try to save it by adding more sauce or whatever it might be, and in the end it's just much worse than before. A possible English translation for verschlimmbessern would be to disimprove, which I've actually found listed in the dictionary, but again, I've never heard anyone use this word, at least not in the US, so
they would just say make worse. Make it worse.
Please let me know in the comments below if you've ever heard of that, or maybe you even use it. There couldn't be a more German thing than this. Eine Übergangsjacke is a transition jacket, which is a coat or a jacket that you can...
Übergangsjacke.
There couldn't be a more German thing than this. Eine Übergangsjacke is a transition jacket, which is a coat or a jacket that you can wear during spring or fall because it's not too warm and not too cold. I found that that's something that almost every German owns, while in the US, or at least here in Cincinnati, people just start wearing t-shirts and shorts as soon as the temperatures are above freezing, so I guess they don't really waste their time with things like a transition jacket. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I do see people walk through the snow in shorts here all the time, and even flip-flops sometimes. I'm not kidding. But no, I'm sure some Americans do have a transition jacket too, even though they probably don't call it that, at least until now, because now you know of this amazing word, Übergangsjacke. Torschlusspanik is a great German word that translates to gate closing panic. Some Germans do get this word wrong though and say Torschusspanik instead, which would mean goal shooting panic, as in shooting a goal in soccer, but that's not it. It's Torschlusspanik, so gate closing panic, and it describes the feeling that you get when it's almost too late to do something, like when you're about to miss your chance. It's kind of similar to FOMO in English, the fear of missing out, even though Torschlusspanik is a lot stronger, I would say, and it will be used in more specific situations, such as what many people go through during a midlife crisis, or when women approach the age of 35 and haven't had a baby yet, and feel like their time is running out. The expression has a really interesting origin. It comes from back in the Middle Ages when the city gates would be closed at nightfall, and those people who didn't make it back in time had to stay the night outside of the city walls, which was known to be pretty dangerous. So while rushing back to make it inside the city in time, they probably experienced Torschlusspanik.
Hell yeah.
I feel like this one has become a pretty famous German word by now, because it's a concept that doesn't really have a fitting translation in English. It's Fremdschämen, which literally translates to external shame, or stranger shame, or something along those lines. The closest English expression for this would be secondhand embarrassment, but I don't think Americans use that word quite as much as we use Fremdschämen, and I also don't think it's as strong. If you're ever in Germany and, let's say, watch TV with a German, you'll probably hear something like this at some point. Boah, das ist echt Fremdschämen pur. That's straight up secondhand embarrassment. One word that gets pretty close to this is the slang word cringe that has actually made its way into the German youth language too, as in, das ist total cringe. That's so cringe. This one I've mentioned before in my video on 20 German words that are used in English, and I'm talking about the word Schadenfreude. So for this, I technically don't even have to say I wish that they had this in English, because they kind of already adopted it into their language. Partly because it's a favorite among people who learn German, but it also got a major push through a song called Schadenfreude from the American musical Avenue Q in 2003. Schadenfreude literally translates to damage joy, and it means taking pleasure in someone else's misfortune. It's not quite as cruel as being sadistic though. It's really more of a passive thing, kind of, like when someone you have a rivalry with with at work or school or in sports fails at something, you might feel Schadenfreude, so you might be happy about their misfortune. It's even used for when you laugh at someone else falling or walking into a light pole or something like that. This one is a pretty fun word, even though the thing itself isn't always as much fun. A Schnapsidee, a Schnapps idea or liquor idea is basically just an expression for a stupid idea. Now, I'm pretty sure this one goes back to people being drunk and then coming up with pretty dumb ideas in that state, but we use this word in any situation, not just when people are drunk. It's not actually used as much anymore though, so I'd like to officially petition for this word to be included in current slang again, because I think it makes dumb ideas sound a lot more cute and a lot more fun. The last one on my list is one that I used to use a lot when I was teaching German during my master's program. In English, you'd probably just call it a memory aid, but in German it's called an Eselsbrücke, a donkey bridge. Donkey bridges are usually little sayings or tricks to help you remember something. Like one very famous German donkey bridge is Nie ohne Seife waschen, which means never wash without soap, but the first letters of each word help you remember the different cardinal directions. Norden, Osten, Süden, Westen. What's your favorite Eselsbrücke or donkey bridge? Whether it's a German one or an English one, let me know in the comments below.
Okay. I see. We had a similar thing. I don't think it was for Northeast, Southwest, but it was always just random words. Like there's a million of those. Anyways, that was 15 genius German words that are missing in English. I'm sure there's a lot more. But yeah, we've definitely, from the past few videos about German vocabulary and the German language, we've learned how versatile German words can be. Not in the sense of versatility and being able to use them in different situations, but rather the wide availability of words, especially specific words that, although they are specific, they can be used for different things, which is pretty cool. So maybe they are versatile when I think about it. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you have other videos you'd like for me to check out, throw them in the comments down below. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.